I'm still alive. It sounds like, you're hearing your obituary, so you pinch. Let me first begin by saying to my brother for more than 25 years, Arturo Vargas. 35 years, okay, I can't cheat, To our phenomenal Secretary of State for the state of California and the chairman of NALEO, Alex Padilla, to all the leadership in NALEO, Pauline, Madrano, but to all the members of NALEO, thank you so much for sustaining the vision of Edward R. Roybal, who believed that we could come together as a community, not just in LA, not just in Dallas or Chicago, but in places like Idaho, and really make a difference. And so to the vision of Edward R. Roybal, but to the implementation of Alex and Arturo and Pauline and all the people who make NALEO operate, thank you so very much for letting us become proud of what NALEO is. Thank you. Natalia, this is all true. They are honoring me. My daughter Natalia is with me. I don't often have a chance to have Carolina, my wife, and Natalia, my youngest daughter, here at events with me. And so sometimes I think maybe Natalia will take for granted that her dad's a pretty important guy. And sometimes you've given me the validation that I need. Now when I ask her to, help me clean the house, maybe she'll take me a little bit more seriously this time. But thank you for it. I'm thrilled to have them with me because, as many of my colleagues know, too often we live a lot of our lives and a lot of what we do professionally without our family, and it can be very tough sometimes. So I'm thrilled that they can be here with me this evening. Carolina, my wife, has been just a champion, and I thank you for that. I already mentioned Alex and Lucille, but I just want to say that the two of them are brother and sister, and Lucille must think I follow her everywhere because she got to the State Assembly, I went to the State Assembly. She took off to Congress, I was right behind her. In fact, I think between us we have what was the Edward Roybal congressional seat in 1992 when we ran, and it got split. And it's been just a thrill to get to work with Lucille and Ed, her husband, over the years. And Alex, I think, man, the sky is the limit for you. You're going to have such opportunity to just continue to lead our country. And I thank you for what you do. Raul Labrador, perhaps you understand why I wanted him to be here. I think Raul is a tremendous leader. We rarely agree, but I loved being in that room and going at it with him because it was pure negotiation, and you could see, if you're not careful, as he was saying about me, but I knew if I wasn't careful, he would just outmaneuver me. And it's the kind of thing you love to do. Let me tell you, if I ever need an attorney, I'm looking up Raul Labrador. And I'm thrilled that he was willing to come and say a few words. Cecilia Munoz, how can I put this? Underneath that kind and beautiful exterior is a pit bull. And thank God, both externally and internally. I can say that here, internally as well. It is our good fortune that Cecilia Munoz is in the White House. And it is our good fortune that the president considers her a friend, because as a result of that, we get a lot done. And I guarantee you, there would be no executive actions on immigration without a Cecilia Munoz at the White House. And I know I'm dating myself, but that movie, Ghostbusters, who are you going to call? I'm telling you right now. Speaker of the State Assembly, Karen Bass, now colleague, Congresswoman Karen Bass. You want someone who's going to fight for you? Who are you going to call? You're going to call Karen Bass. Karen Bass. And let me tell you, and she doesn't, like me, she doesn't always take up the causes that are easy. And so talk to foster kids throughout America who are you going to call? They're going to call Karen Bass because they know they've got a champion on their side. And that's why I asked her to be here, because I consider Karen Bass a champion who will leave a mark in many, many ways still to come as a leader for our country. And I'm so pleased that, Karen, you took the time to be here with us this evening. Thank you. So I look at the award from NALEO and the image of Edward R. Roybal, and I think reward, but reminder. Reward because what a tribute to be able to say you are being held in a sphere close to Edward R. Roybal. He was a mentor. I remember, I said this in Los Angeles not long ago when we had a reception, a NALEO reception similar to this, that I remember when I was young and Congressman Roybal was already moving on towards the latter years of his tenure as a congressman. I thought, why aren't our members of Congress doing more for the Latino community? And of course, when you're first coming in, you haven't dived into the deep side of the pool. You think anything can happen because you're so vigorous, right? You don't even have to know how to swim well because you can paddle across the pool even though you don't really know how to do a stroke. You can do it. But with experience, you learn how to do that stroke the right way. And today, you can go throughout the country to the 10 different gerontology centers that are named after Edward R. Roybal under the National Institute of Health. Or you can go to USC's Institute on Aging, that's named after Edward R. Roybal. Or you can go to the Comprehensive Health Center in Los Angeles County, that's named after Edward R. Roybal. Or you can go to the Federal Building in downtown LA, that's named after Edward R. Roybal. Or I could take you to the high school that's named after Edward R. Roybal, because he didn't just found the Congressional Hispanic Caucus or found the Congressional Caucus Institute or NALEO. He's still with us. He's still alive. He is working every day in all these different venues. And so it is a reward, a treat, to be in the same breath as Edward R. Roybal. But it's a reminder, more importantly than the reward, a reminder of what he did. And sometimes when we're in our youth, we don't recognize how much people actually do until we look back and we see that they're still doing. And to me, there's a message. I still have lots to do. When I came in 1993, we were in the midst of a very difficult immigration battle. But let me give you the context. Democrats were in the majority in 1993, in the House and the Senate and the White House, Bill Clinton. My first fight on immigration, my first real battle in immigration, it wasn't with my Republican colleagues. It was with my Democratic colleagues. In 1993-94, if some of you can remember, we were in a recession. We needed to find money to help cover the cost of unemployment insurance, to extend it for a lot of Americans who still couldn't find work. We needed $4 billion. Where do we go? Well, part of that, $1 billion of the $4 billion, we found by cutting the services to Americans who were age, blind, and disabled under the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI. Age, blind, and disabled Americans. But not just any SSI recipients. Only legal immigrant SSI recipients were going to get cut. So if you were a U.S. citizen, you wouldn't find your SSI benefits cut. If you were not undocumented, if you were a legal immigrant SSI recipient, you were going to get $1 billion shaved off of your services simply because you were a legal immigrant. I didn't get it. That was my first year in Congress. I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand why my caucus, my party, was doing that. And so I tried to stop it. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus joined with me. And before you know it, then Speaker Tom Foley had to pull the bill from the House floor because we had threatened not to vote for it, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And he wasn't sure if they would have the votes. Took a week, but we took the $1 billion cut to SSI recipients who were legal immigrants out of the bill. And it was set to go to the floor then the following week. And so I stand up in what we call our whip meetings, when we have all the Democrats get together to whip for votes to make sure we have our votes. And I stood up. I stood up to say thank you to the speaker and to the guy who was most responsible, then Chairman Dan Rostenkowski, who was what we called the bull back in those days, a chairman who had a lot of power on the Ways and Means Committee. And I stood up to tell them all thank you for what they had done, because for 5 days or so, no action had taken place on that bill. And as I was getting ready to say thank you, Dan Rostenkowski turns around. They used to sit in these big chairs, the chairman, and he turned around and said, forgive my language, goddamn legal immigrants taking away money from hard-working Americans who need it. And I said, Mr. Chairman, they pay taxes just the way those other Americans do. They do everything the same way. And evidently he didn't like what I said. So the next thing I hear is I got members of Congress coming up to me saying, Javier, what the heck did you just do? And I said, what do you mean? I was thanking the leadership for helping take the cutout. He said, yeah, but why did you talk like that to the chairman? I said, how did I had the floor. He's the one that talked to me. He said, but you talked back to the guy. I said, I was just trying to explain to him. He said, well, I hear he's very upset. I said, what do you mean he's upset? Yeah, the word is he's going to pull his own bill. I said, what do you mean he's going to pull his own bill? We need to pass this. Folks are unemployed. They need the benefits. Yeah, we hear he's going to pull his bill. Sure enough, Dan Rostenkowski took his bill. That was his bill as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. Took his bill. He put back in the $1 billion cut to legal immigrants, and he put it on the floor the next day. And so people came up to me and said, Javier, what are you going to do? It's on the floor. I said, I talked to a whole bunch of folks. That was one of my come to Jesus moments in my first year in Congress. And I voted for the bill. I thought to myself, this is not why I came to Congress. But that was when I was young, and I used to think Edward Roybal wasn't doing enough. And then I learned, it is tough. It is tough. And now I look at everything Edward Roybal has done, and I hope at some point in my life I can say I've done just a fraction of what Edward Roybal did for this country. But I know it's not easy. It is very tough. And every once in a while, I try to find ways to communicate to people the value of just getting involved. When I go to schools, I'd like to talk to the high school students because they're getting close to voting age, and I think it's important that they participate. Yeah. Don't worry, I win by about 85% of the vote, but it helps to encourage them. And sometimes I'll take my pin with me, and I'll put the pin on. I'll say, you know what? When I put this pin on, I'm a different person. They like the look of the pin, but I say, yeah. And I take off the pin, and I let it go around the room with the classroom, all the students. I say, hey, with this pin, I can go see the President of the United States, and I don't have to stop at the security the way everyone else in the world does. I get to go right there, straight through. When I have this pin on, and I have a 1-star, 2-star general looking at me, they salute me because, you know what? With this pin, they know I'm the equivalent of a 3-star general. Then I get their attention. And then I pass it around, and I say, put it on. And so I remember this one time, this young woman put on the pin. And I said, okay, come on up. Now you're a member of Congress. And just by putting on the pin, you could see the change in her face. And it was like, all of a sudden, I had inflated her. And she was like, wow. And we went through an exercise. I told them what we do as members of Congress. I said, see, you could do it too. You could earn $170,000 yourself. And that's what really got them excited about the $177,000. And so I tell them, this is my reward for being fortunate to get elected. But it's also my reminder that I need to see you become the next member of Congress. And you can do it as well. And so I hope that what we'll remember as we remember Edward R. Roybal is that we have to do so many things. And sometimes we have to do things we did not expect. And I will close with one final story, which is very personal to me, and I hope the two women in my life don't get too upset. By the way, I should mention Mary Andreas is here as well, who's my sister-in-law, but the in-law's a technicality. Where is she? Mary Ann. Not often, as I said, I get to have family. So last story. I always try to tell students, this could be yours. I also tell parents, when I see the parents of students, You know, I know what you tell your children all the time. I bet you that day that your child was born, you said, ay, mi hijita, te quiero tanto. Oh, mi hijo, tú eres tan especial. I love you so much. You're so special. And I say, I bet you when you send him off to the kindergarten for the first time, you say, mi hijita, te va a gustar mucho la escuela y te vas a divertir y te quiero tanto. You're going to love school and I love you so much. Then you see them play the instrument or do well in sports and you say, mi hijo, qué orgullo me da verte. Mi hijo, son, how proud I am of you, what you did. And I say, pero por favor no se les olvide de decir una cosa más. Cuando le dicen a su hijo, te quiero tanto. Díganles, te quiero tanto y tú vas a ir a la universidad. I love you so much and you're going to go to college. Every time you figure out a way to say you love your child, it's got to be in that same breath, right? And so they're going to go to college. Why? Because I know I'm loved and I know I'm going to college. What's college? I don't know yet, but I know I'm going to college, right? And so I practice what I preach. And here's the story. I have 3, just the best daughters. They are just like their mother. And for the longest time, I've always told them all their life. I don't just say, you're going to go to college. I had to spice it. I said, if you do really well, you'll get to go to Becerra U. There's no Becerra U, but that's my way of staying close to my kids, right? So it got to the point where they roll their eyes, Becerra U, yeah. We know we did well, Becerra U. But they know it's a natural. Gosh, great job. I'm so proud of you. Becerra U's within your reach. And sometimes you just wonder, are people recognizing that this is reward and the reminder? And I got a really great Christmas gift a few years back, one of my favorite gifts. And I brought it so you could see it because, to me, reward is reminder. And if I'm smart, I will still try to do a few more good things before I leave this earth. And so my daughters did me a great favor. They gave me one of the greatest Christmas gifts I could ever get when they let me know that even though they always rolled their eyes, it really did mean something when they would hear me say Becerra U. So this is what they got me. It's a few years old. It still looks pretty new because I don't want to wear it. To me, it's like the greatest gift. Even though they would roll their eyes, they thought of this themselves. They actually got me the sweatpants about a year or 2 later. But to me, this is validation that if I just say to them, mijito, tú vas a ir a la universidad. Mija, te quiero tanto y tú vas a ir a la universidad. Maybe I won't be the only first in the family to get a chance to go to college and get that degree. My girls, they're set, they're going. But the greatest thing is they really do pay attention. They do recognize the reward. But it's the reminder of why we do this. And so, as much as I cherish this, I recognize this, and I will cherish this as well. Thank you all very much. Thank you for being here this evening.